You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. Crew is in the building. A very patriotic Jay Moore. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, man. You know, I didn't even think about it when I grabbed this polo out.
Sure you did.
No, I'm dead serious. I just decided to grab. I wanted to wear something blue, but I forgot that this is an Olympics.
Oh, definitely.
Polo edition from 2016. So, like I said, just something I had in the closet, just waiting around.
Fair enough. My man, Lonegevity. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right, man.
Yep.
I'm doing pretty good. How are you? You're
doing
back.
Okay. Yeah, I am, man. Had some airline issues. I was one of the fools up there waiting. Yeah.
Well,
sucks.
Did you take a paddle boat back, or how'd you get back?
I actually didn't leave. I ended up driving somewhere else for a makeup trip because flights were canceled, brother.
Where'd you go?
I was planning to go to Florida.
But you didn't end up going?
I couldn't go because we sat at the gate for 3 hours and they said, y'all can't leave. So the next thing you know, we go back down the concourse and there's hundreds of people standing around with luggage and news cameras everywhere. It felt like a movie, really. It's crazy. My man DJ Jay Diff, what's happening, man?
Salutations.
Everything good your way?
Everything's good, man. Thanks for the rundown on the trip, man. Sorry you got stranded at the airport.
Thank you, man. He actually did call me. I appreciate you for that, bro.
Because luckily for me, the week prior, I was able to make it to Cancun.
Oh, yeah.
So not to rub it in your face, but...
bless your heart. I'm glad you told me that, man. It makes me feel better.
It was a good time.
Is that what you were going for? To make me feel better?
No, I mean, at least somebody got to enjoy it.
Yeah, it ain't about me all the time. It's not. I'm glad
you got a refund, so you'll be
I did. They're going to send that bread back.
To do a re-up on that trip.
And they sent me a $75 voucher, so I'll take that.
Okay.
You should ask for more.
What are you going to do with that voucher?
Use it.
Yeah, what kind of voucher is it? Is it like for like airline food?
No, no, man, it goes towards the ticket.
You know what? I can't remember. I'll take that back. Back in the day, you used to get more than just like some snacks and stuff on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's more so just the little, some pretzels, and a pop, some Biscoff,
it depends.
Cookies.
It also depends on where you're going.
How far you're going. Like when I flew overseas, and I had 3 meals on the plane.
Yeah, big boy meals.
But that was a very long flight, though. Too.
But it used to be where you would like get like a for real meal. Like I remember being a kid flying like to California and getting a meal. I
think it's also airline. Airline
specific.
When I was flying back and forth to Ecuador all those times, most of the times you get just a drink and something, but there were 2 times where I had like a full-on meal.
Oh, yeah.
Like a warmed meal. And I was like, I don't know why you get one this time.
I bet you ain't asked questions.
I didn't really eat it because,
Well,
I tell you what.
I'm too picky. Yeah.
No, and I tell you what, like.
Textures.
It's crazy. The first time I went to Disney World, like I remember I was just astonished because like I was on the plane and that was the first time I'd had chicken cordon bleu.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, word?
And so I was
in first class.
No, I don't think we was in first class, but I just remember like, wow, you mean there's a piece of ham inside the chicken? Like I was like, I don't remember how old I was.
I need some cheese.
I thought it
I had that for dinner last night.
I thought it was sorcery at the time, but
they don't serve that in the economy, my brother. So more than
they
likely
don't serve anything, at all. Ever now, like
it's all prepackaged. It's all prepackaged.
Getting on a plane it's like just a flying bus now.
Yeah, pretty much.
The one flight I've not been a part of is the correct term Airbus, where it's 3 in the middle and then they have like the huge cabin. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
I have not been on one of those yet. I guess I haven't traveled long enough.
Yeah, if you fly overseas, you'll see those.
Because one of my cousins did that and. He was like, yeah, man, we had big meals and I could get up and walk around because the flight was however many hours.
I took on that long flight, I took some, what's it called?
Dramamine?
Nah, it's like an allergy medicine.
Oh.
Zyrtec.
Benadryl. I just took a Benadryl and went to sleep. Wake me up every time some food show up.
Other than that, leave me alone.
I'm asleep.
Look, when I went to Hilton Head, South Carolina, like I think it was like, I guess I flew in like North Carolina, and then you get on a plane, and it's like one that still has propellers on the
small
side.
boy,
commercial joint.
Yeah, it's not like you
Out
can.
of this.
Not a lot of 747s flying into this little airport in Hilton Head. So I was like, okay,
Hilton Head,
you're not getting a lot of sleep on those because that propeller is going to keep you awake. But it is what it is. Still a good trip.
Yeah, man, that was a very interesting experience. I'll just say that. A lot of mad, pissed off people.
I can imagine.
Yeah, messed up deliveries for me last week.
De La Soul got canceled.
Yeah, they were supposed to be here in Indy and couldn't come through, and that was. It was a guy that was stranded. I talked to a dude that was stranded, and I believe his daughter was about to have a baby. Oh man, hot.
Yeah, he was hot. He was like,
I'd have rented a car and drove.
That's what he said. He was like, man, I think
those systems were messed up too.
Yeah,
that part.
It's funny though because
hotels too. We found out.
It's funny because I don't like to be a conspiracist. I always say that, but
right.
I feel like this was more than just a Microsoft or a Windows issue. Because I mean, if you think about the things that have happened this year, a main bridge in Baltimore was hit.
Yep.
Transportation stopped in that one city. Now you have transportation stopping throughout the whole country. I mean, something's just weird about this situation to me. I feel like it's more than what they're leading on to. I feel like it was a hack, essentially.
Hack is what I thought initially. I'm not gonna lie. I'm the same way as you are, but I thought hack.
I don't know how much you've read up on it, but it's like it was the particular system in place was like Windows had an update. Mm-hmm. Then this other program updated to Windows, but then Windows or Microsoft. And then Microsoft went back and did another update afterwards that messed with the previous update of this particular program. No. I deal with this type of stuff when I was doing like building websites because you have so many plugins that sometimes they conflict with each other.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it was like, the fix apparently was really simple, but you had to do it manually, and which is what took it so long to fix.
What I noticed is very scary. What I noticed was the airline that we were on was grounded, but I kept looking on the runway, and Southwest is just.
They ended up being grounded too.
But while I was there, I probably saw 8 planes leave, and they were like, "Well, they're not on Microsoft."
Oh, those Southwest planes all run off Commodore 64.
Oh well. Maybe that's why they.
Were you on Spirit Airlines?
I was not on Spirit. Why you gonna do me like that? But you know what? I'm not gonna cap.
Was it American?
It was not American. It was
Delta.
No,
Frontier.
United.
It was not Frontier. It was
Eastern.
Allegiant.
Okay.
Oh.
I had never flown them before because I'm a Southwest person myself. That's all I rock with.
Southwest, that first come first serve thing is about to be
I'm actually happy for that because
I'm not.
My last flight was through Southwest. I usually get Southwest most times too because you have to pay for baggage.
Right.
But sometimes that whole where you fall and like you can pre-check or pre-board right at midnight the day before.
Mm-hmm. True.
And sometimes it's a cluster as far as trying to do that, and you're still in like the second and third group.
That's
it's
true.
Like I literally sat here as soon as 12 midnight hit and started doing this.
And you still got me in C. D.
Yeah, come on, man. And then you gotta. All right, I'm traveling with my family. We either gotta, conversate with somebody. Do you mind scooting over, or would you trade? That type of stuff is annoying to me. I would rather just give me a seat, keep my luggage free, and I'm good because I can get on there and pick my seats. I know where I'm going to sit.
That's how it is.
And don't have to worry about somebody, trying to save a seat or me trying to. I would rather just do it the other way.
I'm going to experience that for the first time because I'm flying Spirit in September. So I'm sure that'll be in place by then. So I guess we'll see.
I know we're about to move on.
Yes.
Get to the meat of the show. But I think we'd be remiss if we did not say rest in peace to Chino XL.
And DJ Polo.
Yep. DJ
for
Polo.
Coogee Rep,
And also is an actress named Erica Ash.
Yeah.
She did a lot of dope stuff. She was on a very underrated show called Survivor's Remorse. It was produced by LeBron James.
That was a good show.
I would have
also featured Mike Epps as well.
Yes. And so just RMP to those people who will be missed in the industry and just overall by the people who enjoy their art.
But this is a video that lasted the test of time in Pistone Discord a while back. But I think the topic can still be discussed. It's about the lack of, and this is what I took from the video, lack of originality as it relates to music production for today's music. I believe the artist was 42 Doug. that said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but a lot of the beats are just not that good from producers. And there's a gentleman on TikTok that had a pretty good breakdown as to, what he thought the actual reason was behind maybe production being somewhat stale or what I would say sounding the same. So let's watch the video. I want to make sure I shout him out. I cannot remember his name.
Is this Source, of course?
Once you shared it, I went back and did some research. He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, he made a video once. He stitched us a few times on TikTok.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I think once he said, he's like, I follow them, but they don't follow anybody, so I'm not going to follow them.
I remember you bringing it up.
And I was like...
all you had to do was tell us, brother. We'll follow.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, no, we don't follow anybody. It's just part of it. Yeah. And I told him, it's nothing personal, man.
It's part of the new old heads mystique.
Okay, you got good content.
Mysterious stuff, man.
Yeah, we're trying to be mysterious out here, okay?
I see what you did there.
Let us be mysterious.
I see what you did there.
All right, let me...
Okay. People have told me that the beats today are better than they were in the past. I find that to be ludicrous. Beats might be cleaner. Production might be even more complex. But better? Better sounds great. I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous, but regional production is not valued anymore, or nearly as much, I should say. It's like everybody wants to sing Kumbaya, my Lord, let's all sing together. And I'm not saying that everything sounds the same across the board. I'm saying a lot of the basis for a good portion of what we actually hear seems to come from a place of no home. You know what? That might be why They Not Like Us hit so hard. And it was going at a person who has no hip-hop home, necessarily. At least not in the U.S. I might be on to something.
This is what jumped out to me, because 42 Doug basically was saying the production has declined. What he said was what jumped out to me was the regional portion as to why, because there's no sound anymore. Everything is just one big soundscape.
Kind of like we've had that discussion a few times as far as how music has transitioned to where there's no particular style where you can actually tell where people come from.
Yeah. So I think when 42 Doug says production is the value has declined, what he just broke down might be a reason as to why, because there is nothing stands out. New York doesn't sound like New York, and Atlanta to me could just pass like two ships in the night at this point. Like there is no distinct sound anymore. Would that be fair to say? Even on the mainstream, I think everything sounds the same now.
When we're talking about production, I think what he was trying to get at as well is the simplicity of it.
That part.
And that kind of goes to what Lone was saying about how certain things chopped he can't G for because it doesn't sound produced. So in today's day and climate, especially as far as the most popular rap and things, or even music in general, you have new producers coming in and are literally chopping samples that were chopped before and are doing it the exact same way. So there's no technicality, there's no imagination, there's no thought process to it. It's literally you're copying and pasting and adding a couple more sounds to it. I agree, that's not production. So I think with 42 Doug, he's saying he wants something else.
Yep.
Being from Detroit, Detroit, they definitely have their own style of how they rap, but in the same token, they all rap the same to these similar beats as well, because they definitely have a sound when it comes to production. And to me, their production sound is simple, but maybe he wants to get away from that. But I do agree with the aspects of things have fallen onto just being more simple, because it's easier for, it always falls back to me, to the listener and to what the general public wants. That's what they gravitate to, something that they can identify with real quick and don't have to necessarily think about it. And that's the problem with, or not necessarily the problem. That was one of the things that Kendrick was addressing with Drake, essentially. Drake is the most popular artist out here, and people identify with him like that, but the culture really ain't feeling you like that.
And you go to Atlanta when you need a hit.
Yeah.
Which goes to the point as well.
Yeah. Good point. Like here's a part of, the interview where he's actually talking about it. He says, we get in that B, and it takes a long time to find a good beat. It used to. We go into that beat, but it's a whole new wave now. We're trying to catch a new wave, and you don't want to sound the same. You don't want to keep giving these people the same thing. That's what 42 was talking about. Kind of to Terry's point. But the regional thing, I think, is what actually is missing because
they do have I give them
they do, but I'm talking about
regional sound.
Just overall, because it's good that they have one. And maybe, I'm not going to say that because the West Coast typically...
I think there's still...
do you think there's pockets of sounds?
I think there's still regional.
On the mainstream?
Well, I don't listen to the mainstream.
I don't either.
I can't even... I mean, the mainstream's all the same. It's just a big...
It is.
A big cesspool at this point. But I feel like, in general, like, regions still have sounds. Detroit has multiple sounds.
Okay.
The West Coast has multiple sounds.
Definitely.
Depending on where you're at. The Bay has a very specific sound.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Atlanta has a sound. I think Houston has a sound. I think New York has a sound. I think there's a bunch of sounds, but I think maybe it is just a mainstream thing, or maybe it is just like the what's hot aspect of it. I don't know.
Where you can't tell the difference.
Yeah, it's like whatever's popular right now, then any artist jumps on that wave. But to his point, these regions do have a sound. It's just easier for these other artists to come and tap into it because nobody's checking them for doing it.
And I think
it's like the Wild Wild West. I can get in there and do what I want to do now and not be reprimanded for it, or there's not going to be a diss record about me because I'm using this particular style.
But even if they're using that style, though, like I personally don't have a problem with a person using a particular style. I think it's just a lot more accessible for people to use different styles now because you don't have to I don't know. I just feel like it's everything has become more global. Like you can have a Memphis sound and be from Indianapolis. You know what I mean? Shouts to Mac Wolf.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can have not everything he does, but
but he's definitely from that cloth. Yeah.
But you can have particular sounds that you just like, and you don't have to live in that area.
Yeah.
And I think that's a piece of it as well. So I feel like the regional sounds is like everything that we talk about that's regional now is something that was defined decades ago.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? There is no new regional sounds that really, realistically.
Well, no, because when you think about the Hitmen, that was New York.
Right.
Okay. Dr. Dre, DJ Quick, that was Los Angeles. Yeah. The Dungeon Family, Dungeon Family wasn't doing a bunch of West Coast production or East Coast production.
Yeah, it was unique.
You were doing it for the guys that you knew who you came up with. Now,
or anybody from Georgia.
Yeah. So now, okay, because I was just looking it up. You talking about a regional sound Metro Boomin's from St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Sexy Red does all her records with Take Heath. Take Heath is from Tennessee.
Right.
And so and I know to some people that's just flyover territory, but if you've ever been, look, Memphis and Nashville have completely different sounds.
100%.
Just like, if you talk to people from Houston, there's always been this thing between the South and the North, so you talking about regional differences in music in a particular region.
Yeah, you literally have 3 6 Mafia and 8 Ball and MJG. They sound nothing alike.
Right.
They don't.
And they're both equally good.
So, but this is the thing now that the internet speed is so fast.
Yeah.
And, people can just hit each other up. Say, hey man, I like what you did right there. Let me see if we can make something happen. You got people, there are people in New York probably want to take Heath beats now.
Let me ask, that's what I was going to ask. Do you all think, just based off whatever stream you want to talk about, mainstream, underground, whatever, do you all think that in 2024, you can honestly say that New York has a sound?
No.
I don't think so. Because
what I would think is New York sound is what we just heard with the Pete Rock and Common song, but Common's rapping about Chicago.
Yeah. I think the sex still exists. You know what I mean? It's hard.
The sex. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Where's your mind?
Don't do that. Don't do
freak
that.
Ass boy.
Sorry.
Be a fan.
I'm not a fan. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not a fan. Go ahead, man. I'm not a fan.
The new New York sound, in my personal opinion, is Griselda. It's like they kind of
Buffalo. But yeah. Which is also, we could have the conversation as Derringer, which is then Alchemist and Rock Marciano.
There we go. Alchemist is from L.A.
Yeah. And Rock Marciano's from New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know exactly, but he sounds like a New York dude.
Mm-hmm. To my knowledge, unless.
But it all's kind of derived. I feel like that's kind of the interesting part of the conversation. If you're a newer dude creating a sound, it's almost always derived from something in the past
that preceded you. Yes,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
But I was literally about to say this. I see somebody said in the chat. Primo is from Texas.
Yep.
But his style is very New York.
Yeah. He helped
we can even go. We can go on to say,
Boston.
Yeah,
it's the most New York group ever. That neither of them are from New York.
Yeah, we can go on to say that the DLC is from Texas as well.
He is,
and he was on L.A. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Dr. Dre production. True. First album, Fire, by the way. You know what I'm saying? And he's if we're talking about regional,
yeah,
is just the production regional, or is it?
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's just the sound, the overall sound. You know, I think if you take the people out, right,
and just focus on the sound as is.
Yeah. If you just like what a sound is, like Memphis has a couple sounds. Mm-hmm. You can be from Memphis and make New York style beats.
Right.
It's not necessarily Primo or Pete Rock style beats or whatever style beats. I feel like it's the region style beats, and I think. Until we've had this we've been talking about this off and on for a while now, but it wasn't until today where I really kind of thought like, it's really just, it's less about the producer and more about just the region and what embodies and what pushes the culture around said region. Mm-hmm. You know, like, because Primo was from Texas, but he made New York style beats.
Right.
Like nothing about Primo's production makes you think about anything in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I follow you. I'm
like you. 100% right. You and I have a particular sound. They're similar, but they're not the same.
Right. And we grew up in the same area.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and I don't know if I would say that our style is Indiana.
That's true.
Because I feel
it's a melting pot.
That's a good point.
But I still feel like Indiana has a very kind of interesting type of sound that I don't.
It's hard to define.
It's hard to define.
See, that's what I was going to ask. I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask, let's narrow it down to something that we are all very well versed in, or damn near you could say experts in at this point, and that's the Midwest as a whole. Lived in Chicago.
Like Midwest make the world go round at the end of the day.
Thank you. So is it more of just, because what I've always grown up to believe is the Midwest is the melting pot. So there's multiple facets and different things and areas of sounds.
There is. I was actually going to bring this up too.
Go ahead, bro.
With A$AP Rocky. His first album is very Ohio influenced. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a Bone Thugs album at the end of the day.
Good
production.
Call.
I don't know, where's Muggs from?
DJ Muggs is from...
he's from like California.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe he's from...
He's a soul assassin. So
he constructed a sound that's true to Bone Thugs and Harmony.
DJ Muggs? From Cypress Hill?
Not Muggs. Who's the producer for a lot of Bone stuff? I want to say it was Unique.
DJ Unique.
Unique. Okay, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, I thought, he's from Ohio, isn't he?
I don't know. But he formulated a sound that's true to Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah.
A$AP Rocky's first album is very Bone Thugs and Harmony inspired.
Yeah, I can hear that.
But the raps on it are him being himself behind this Ohio style production. So would you consider that a New York album based on lyrically, or is it still
go.
LA? Okay.
Unique is LA.
Okay.
I don't know, Terry. I feel like this is where I feel like we're having like this. I almost feel like this is a hypothetical conversation that we're having, because like I don't really feel like it matters. Generally speaking, right? Like I know some people really think that regional type sounds and music matter, and maybe it does, and maybe I'm just wrong. That's fine, but I personally, I've never really subscribed to it, and I think just because of as a musician in general, I just make the stuff as a musician that I like. And if I live in Anderson, Indiana, or if I live in Indianapolis or Chicago or LA or freaking a different country, I'm going to still make the music that I like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to establish the music that I like in whatever place that I'm at.
You know what though?
So
without borders, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what though?
It's positionless basketball.
Good call.
Yeah, that's a good.
The only pushback that I would say, this is me knowing you. I do not think your overall approach of music and what you make in terms of what you like and your versatility would change. But if I think you and I grew up in LA as opposed to where we grew up at,
right,
there may be a slight West Coast bias into what we do as we branch out.
I hear,
you see what I'm saying?
I hear more West Coast influence on your production.
Oh, I love the West Coast
versus Lone's production.
It just depends on what I decide to make, though.
But
I would agree. I would agree with that. But I am definitely somebody who definitely utilizes a lot of funk elements as well.
For sure.
And that's
To our point, that's Midwest music.
It's the melting pot.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I feel like it has its place just because it's like historical. It's like it was established. Like when hip hop came out, there were distinct different types of hip hop sounds, and that's just baked into the fundamental nature of what hip hop is today. I don't think that that's ever going to change, but I don't know if it really matters. I don't know. I guess I'm like this.
Maybe it doesn't matter as much as it used to. I will say I enjoyed coming up in an era where there were multiple styles of music.
But they still exist.
No, I'm not saying they don't, but I feel like it was pushed more to the forefront when we were coming up versus now.
Because people stayed true to it. It was more
that's
so
about.
they didn't want to sound like
that's what
another reason.
That's what I'm talking about.
We want to sound like where we're from.
Yeah.
We appreciate y'all for sounding like where you're from.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, Biggie's second album, I want to sell records like Snoop. I don't want to sound like Snoop, but I want to sell records like Snoop.
That's the part I think is gone, what he just said.
And I think, again, goes down to, I think it was, I don't know who mentioned this, but again, I think it was you, Terry. Are we speaking on the music part of it? Or are we speaking on the lingo and how people are talking? Because those are two different things. Because if we're talking about the music aspect, I think me as a person that's making music, I just make whatever I feel. But as somebody who's writing, I feel like you're going to pull from your area a lot more. Especially when I was writing, you're going to pull from the things around you a lot more. So maybe that comes out a little bit more. But I feel like the conversation typically stems around production sound.
But when you talk about production, everybody talks about, the West Coast being more influenced by funk, by Zapp and Roger, who are from the Midwest. And you a lot of times when you talk about what sound they gravitated towards, they weren't West Coast sounds initially. I can't.
They adopted it.
That's what they adopted. And like I saw Snoop talking about how much they loved EPMD because EPMD would work in those same kind of funk sounds that the West Coast producers, that they had gravitated towards too. But like I said, a lot of times it's just it is really about what you gravitate towards, because okay, this is what we're going to sample from over here. We're going to sample from these jazz records. Some of those, technically, that's a down south sound. That's a Midwest sound. A lot of those jazz artists were from New York, of course, or they made their homes in New York, but that's not where they're originally from. So when we're talking about regional music, especially when we're talking about sample-based production, you almost can't assign a region. I mean, you can just based on who did what and when, or
how they freak it.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the music that you got wasn't, that you created from, that you used as a base, it wasn't from the West Coast. The music that you got wasn't technically from the East Coast. It's just how you created in your process that might have made it. And to where people feel it's indigenous to the West Coast, to the East Coast, or even to the South. But the music that you took from, what you sampled from, what you inspired by, comes from everywhere in this country, and sometimes it comes from outside of the country. So it's
a lot more than people think. It comes
it's kind of crazy how we assign regionality, if that's a word, to music when the influences come from everywhere.
And I think that's my problem with the conversation. Like that's generally it. It's like. All that being said, like the inspirations come from so many different areas, but areas still do typically have the sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just
because I just remember I made a mix for this couple. They were from Detroit, and like that Detroit has its own vibe as far as like this dance music that I do not feel at all. I do not like it at all.
They have a lot of
and when I was making this, I was like, okay, I see the people from Detroit liking this, but I see the other, because you hear it kind of spread out in the BMF TV show a little bit, but like the rest of it, I'm like, this ain't it.
You know who put me onto that? Shout out to the homie Tall Black Guy. He said, you don't know nothing about this. I said, I didn't.
I said, I sure don't.
Look, man, people don't realize that like techno was born in Detroit.
Yes.
I mean, just like we have techno, we have Parliament Funkadelic recorded their albums there.
Motown
is literally there. You know what I mean? Like,
and all this gives peace to the Midwest.
It's definitely Midwest, man.
Yep. It all gives peace to the Midwest.
And a lot of that runs down. That highway that runs right down to Columbus you know, like in the northern part of Ohio as well. You know, so the Midwest is really kind of the fueling of a lot of the sound.
Absolutely.
Look, Terry been saying that.
I remember when, you know, when the first party I went to when I got to college, and they're playing, like, I knew a little bit about house music because when I, you know, go to little Chicago, you know, Jack and Jill parties, the girls would play that, and I'd be like, this sound like music from Super Mario Brothers. Oh,
hold on.
What we get?
Okay, all right.
TikTok being a
yeah. No, but I just remember the first time I heard like the Percolator.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I was like, we didn't do this in St. Louis. It sounded like
we actually rock with that here.
See, we did. Yeah, but when I first time I heard it, I said it sounded like some stuff from Super Mario Brothers. I was very like not into it.
What if I told you I have video evidence of Lone dancing to the Percolator? Would you believe me?
No.
See, he know what it is.
I mean, I know what it is now. I see the value in it now because, like, when I went to the first party when I got to SIU Carbondale, they played house music all night, and I heard it was like, you know, I beat that bat and all that, and I was like, this ain't. I was like, when you gonna play some gangster raps that I can, you know, kind of groove to?
I mean,
but once again, it was because like I was partying with people from a region that was not my own. So like, you know, there was stuff that if I'd have played it, they'd have been like, get this out of here.
True.
But you know, when I heard that, and now I have an appreciation for house music, and I know the history, and like, you know, I was like, oh, this is how this came about. But when I first heard it, I was like, no.
Living in Chicago put me on game. Go ahead, Long. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, back to the point of like the Midwest putting like being the fundamental backbone of a lot of this stuff, like, you know, house music from techno to Italo house to all the house types, styles of house music that formed in Europe. There's a direct correlation of that coming from Chicago-based house music. So even when you talk about dance music and how that invaded Europe, like a lot of people, like if you don't know any better, you think, oh yeah, it's just this music the white people dance to. It was it's black music.
No.
Like, and it, you know, so I don't know. The Midwest is behind a lot of this, and so I guess it depends on how far back you want to go on a lot of these samples and a lot of these originations and stuff like that. But regions do have sounds, and that's cool.
And at the end of the day, I guess producers need to stop being lazy. So 42 Doug can get out of his box and
send that boy some heat, man. Stop sending him the same thing.
I think he just needs to look in better places because there are plenty of people out here that are making.
He's from Detroit.
I'm just saying.
Lone is right though.
Black Milk is in his backyard.
I don't see.
14 KT is in his backyard.
They are.
Sometimes you just have to expand your musical palette because it's going to bring something different out of you, and that's why I kind of
Killer's right up.
Detroit gave us Jay Diff.
I applied Lil Yachty for pretty much stepping outside of his comfort zone and getting production that isn't like I can't easily identify that this is a Lil Yachty song until he starts rapping.
Yeah. And
then it's like, okay, that's cool. He's trying to step outside, actually make himself better because it makes him be a different type of writer.
I gave him peas for that too. I own that project. I remember. I gave him peas for that.
Maybe with 42 Doug, I don't know, but I know he's a newer age Detroit rapper. Is he one of the dudes that raps super ahead of the beat as well?
I mean, he's Detroit style.
So maybe, you know, he can work with some of these really amazing producers if he finds where the pocket is.
You couldn't help it, could you? You couldn't. You just can't. You can't help it. You can't help
it. The thing about them is, and I will give them credit for this, and I'm one of them people that may have missed the boat. Some of it is cool, some of it's not, in my personal opinion. But I know a lot of people that really rock with that sound.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
and they can't wait to hear whatever's new out. Like if they're coming in town, they'll tell you, "Oh, such and such is performing here," and it's like I have no clue.
It's an entire generation of people that have ADHD and need music made for their ADHD.
That's
because
tough,
they can't wait on the pocket, so they need it right away.
And on that, Boss Man D-Lo is kind of the same though, and he's not from Detroit.
ADHD is not region specific.
Yeah, you're right.
That is a great terrible place for us to run the partners, bro.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com.
Let's talk. You know what? I had two Uncle L topics today.
Well, what does he say? I mean, we've talked about LL Cool J.
But he's making his rounds, though, Terry. He's making his rounds. So he's giving out good content, man. He's talking about some really cool stuff. And he's not mad either. He's just really... You know what I'm saying? He's just going through some stuff. But this is actually...
He's just going through some stuff.
Yeah, as he gets ready to drop an album.
Okay.
Is this the Risk and Status with Legacy one?
Yes, I put that in the Discord, I believe. So what LL was talking about was... This is an excerpt from his interview with Charlemagne. It's a short on Bringing Down the Band. And he's kind of talking about... I guess Charlemagne kind of challenges him to say, hey, man, you're a legacy act at this point. Does that scare you when you're this age and you get ready to drop a project? And I love the take that LL had in terms of how he approaches it at this age. So let's run the clip, and I'd be curious to see what you guys think about it.
Start over.
Critics would consider it risky, though, because of your icon status, to release a new album so long after your last one. What would you say?
I'd say that's the whole point. Like, that's the fun part of it, right? It's like, listen, there is no great artist, great athlete, or anybody that's great at anything. If you cannot be great if you're not willing to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And this vulnerability comes from having the strength and the courage to go after what it is that you want and risk looking foolish in the process. LeBron doesn't get the last shot. Steph Curry doesn't take the last shot if he's worried about his legacy, right? Kobe don't take the last shot if he's worried about his legacy. LeBron stops playing 3-4 years ago if he's worried about his legacy. But because he wants to push the envelope, you're having a conversation. Look at what this guy can do in year 20. Look what he could do in year 5, right? You see what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, that's the fun of it. Like, I love that challenge. That's what makes it worth it.
So there's a couple ways we can discuss this, right? So one being his approach. Do you like his approach and why? And do you think there are older artists that have the same approach, or maybe some examples of it either working or not? Or two, like, just what does this even look like for LL as he gets ready to drop his new project? Does this, because there's a lot of people that are going to love him regardless. So it may not be the necessary risk, but we can kind of focus on the first part as to maybe some examples or just how you feel overall about what he said at first.
I don't think there's any risk of destroying or hurting his legacy at this point, because he is LL Cool J. He is the first artist on Def Jam. He did, he's Mama Said Knock You Out. He got the Vanguard Award. He's got the Grammys. He's got the, the record sales to back up a lot of, he's the first one to do like a vulnerable love song. And, a lot of other people tried it after that. It didn't work.
He's got the accidental racist as well.
Oh, he does have that. That's probably why he doesn't follow. That's why he doesn't follow me on Twitter.
Yeah, you definitely messed that connection.
Whatever.
Thanks,
but,
so that didn't taint his legacy?
Not to me.
Good question.
No, not to me, because he's still LL Cool J. He's still the person that made me fall in love with hip hop.
But then at the same time, you were very biased towards LL Cool J. But I can back
to his point.
Which is fine.
What I'll add to his point, I'm biased to LL Cool J as well, to a certain extent, because LL Cool J again his legacy is cemented in hip hop. Like he said, he's the first rap artist on Def Jam. And he's done some things that other rap artists still haven't done, and he's still here.
And let me ask you this. I'll give you an example. We talk about. Let's just talk about a group like the Temptations. We know My Girl. We know, Just My Imagination. Songs that are cemented in culture,
stand the test of time.
I remember, but you got to understand the Temptations, they put out a record when I started working in radio, and that's in 1999. Stay was a song that actually sampled My Girl, and they flipped it into a new record. This Is My Promise to You. You got to be a Temptations head, maybe to know what I'm talking about, but they were still able to make new records into the 90s and late 90s into the 2000s. Now, of course, Otis was the only original member, but it was still the Temptations. And nobody would pull Otis to the side or any of the members and say, hey, man, why are you making these new Temptation records? We just want to hear, the songs you made, between, 67 and 75. I might be messing up the timeline. What a lot of people call the golden period with David Ruffin and going into when Dennis Edwards joined the group.
For sure.
And You got to understand, if they just do records from that era, they don't even have to go into, Standing on the Top from the 80s and Treat Her Like a Lady. They don't have to do none of those records. LL could get on stage and say, I'm just going to and say, I'm going to do records from radio. Let's see, Bigger and Deffer. Yeah. Maybe not so much Walking with the Panther. Well, you still have a big old butt from Walking with the Panther. And then going into Mama Said Knock You Out. You're talking about his first 4 albums, and he could do a whole concert and no one would feel like they were cheated. No, that's where I'm talking about his legacy. But him doing new records that I can say, hey, I like these records as an LL fan. And I don't think doing new records when you've already established yourself does anything to change your legacy. Long story short.
But what do y'all think about? I guess what I'm saying is, first of all, I see what you're saying in terms of him and his legacy, because he's stamped.
That shows the respect I have for him, because I'm comparing LL to the Temptations.
No, for sure. But
in a good way.
I guess what I'm looking at is more about his approach to it, not if he can pull it off. How he sounded talking about it, the confidence that he's talking about.
To me, it sounds like he has nothing to prove. That's the whole reason he brought up LeBron. LeBron is at a stage in his career where he has nothing left to prove. He can walk away from the game right now. He's already cemented and stamped as one of the greatest to ever pick up a basketball. The same is true to LL Cool J. You have to cement him as one of the, I can't say founding fathers, but he definitely laid a blueprint for artists to follow and became a standard for artists to follow. He has some stuff that I don't rock with, but at the end of the day, even if he drops his album and I don't like it, he's still LL Cool J at the end of the day. Now, every artist does not have that same luxury. And what I mean by that is there can be a legacy artist that they don't move the culture the same way now as an LL Cool J does, because LL Cool J, even though he hasn't been dropping any records, he's still been in people's living rooms on TV. So there's people that might know who LL Cool J.
Shout out to Lil Cool J.
Too many L's. It's people that know who LL Cool J is and don't even know that he raps. The same is true for Ice-T.
Yeah.
Same is true for Ice Cube. You know what I'm saying? These people are legacy artists who transcend. Will Smith. Will Smith has new music coming out right now. Am I excited to hear this new Will Smith record?
Of course.
I hate you.
I can't say that I am.
I hate him.
But he is a legacy artist because he still has a catalog that he could tour with or piggyback on somebody else's tour, and people are going to pay to see him.
People went crazy when he came out and did Men in Black at Coachella.
Yes.
Jump in, Lo.
I think LL's statement was what you were saying about the LeBron stuff. I think he was actually saying the reason why LeBron and Kobe and Jordan are great is because
they can still close.
They can still, and they know how to continue to do it.
Yep.
Through their 40th year. And I think that's what he was saying was like, that's part of the reason, even in that interview where he's talking about, he did the 30 records with Dre almost as a practice.
Yep.
So that he could drop something that would be phenomenal. It's just like LeBron in the weight room or Jordan in the practice room.
Because nothing like a phenomenon wasn't it.
There's a couple on there. Don't be disrespectful.
Bruh.
I haven't heard.
4, 3, 2, 1 was still on phenomenon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's one out of how many?
Go ahead, Long.
Father was on there.
Go ahead, Long. Go ahead.
Jordan had his years where he was the old man on the Wizards, so I mean, it's just what it is.
He would still go to the All-Star game and bust their ass.
But did you notice that he also said that LeBron and Steph Curry, I think this is why he tied himself into them as well. They didn't care about the outcome because they're so used. They weren't scared to take the last shots.
Yeah,
there's no fear. They've done it so long. It doesn't matter.
That's subjective.
It's just practice. It's, it is subjective. But I don't know. I feel like I think I kind of agree that I don't think you can really taint a legacy. Well, you can taint a legacy.
R. Kelly.
Kanye West has tainted his legacy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like that. You can do that, but I don't.
You almost rewrite your story.
But I don't know if you can do that from just a sheer musical standpoint, unless it's like just really god awful.
See, that was going to be the second portion. Is are there examples where we've watched and been involved with hip hop long enough to know where we've had some of our favorite artists drop projects and we can say, okay, that's not it, but
they just don't got it anymore or something.
But that's different from saying, oh man, this is going to taint how I look at them moving forward. To me, those are two different things because you can drop the ball and rebound. Yeah. But are there any instances where you guys can think where you can say, man, once Fam dropped that, he dropped 3 or 4 more projects that was trash and it never was the same. Does that...
The only thing that I can like speak to that are legacy hip hop artists that never found the newer sound and never could catch up to it.
Okay.
Like I've seen that, but I've never seen, but even within that, I've never seen those artists necessarily be whack. It's just that they weren't up to date with anything that was relevant.
Or I just don't want to hear any of your new stuff. Just keep playing the old.
Same. Yeah. It goes along with the same.
We've been there.
Mind frame.
We've been there.
But I don't know if I've seen anybody that's
just made that mistake where it's almost like you can't come back from said mistake. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think anybody has made that mistake unless it was a scandal.
I don't think you can.
Essentially, because somebody will still check for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I might get. My ears might be tired of it. I might not want to listen to that because to me personally, it makes me be like, I'm cool. I'm not excited about it.
To your point about the scandal, what you're going to say, imagine if Rez's beats all moving forward sounded like that beat video that he did, that commercial.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Right, all of them sounded like that.
Yeah.
And then you found out that there was somebody else in the studio with him back in the Wu-Tang days. Then maybe you could look at his legacy a little bit different.
But I mean, in this comes up when we talk about Dr. Dre, about the multiple producers that were in the room with him, that doesn't taint his legacy.
The reason why it doesn't taint Dr. Dre's legacy, and this is just me from producer standpoint.
I just meant in the sense that we found out Reza wasn't actually making the beats.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Or didn't have as much of a
That's what I was about to say.
Footprint.
Because Dre is still in there. It's not DJ Khaled. Like Dre's in there. Yeah, I meant to say that. It's not DJ Khaled. Like he's an A&R to me. He's an A&R. Okay, this producer sent me a dope beat that's 95%
the most recent scandal, Puffy, and we've had discussion about. He's not really a producer.
Right.
Like you said earlier, he was with the Hitmen. The Hitmen produced a lot of that stuff. He put his name on it.
Yeah.
But at the same token, that whole legacy is tainted because of a scandal right now.
I think it makes it easier to...
That's fair.
I think it makes it easier to highlight the things that you don't like about somebody.
The scandal?
You know, yeah. I mean, to your point, Terry, it's like, all right, all the stuff that we kind of already said about Puffy, but we just kind of said it in passing. Now it becomes more of like... No, that's really what you are. You know?
Yeah. I agree with that. It pushes it to the forefront where you can't hide from it.
It's like, you've always been a snake.
Yeah. Now everybody knows.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about rappers, so to speak, so like, honestly, I don't want to hear new Melly Mel tracks. I don't want to hear that.
We heard new Melly Mel tracks.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that.
He counted to 8.
Yeah, I do not
do that long.
He did.
It's what he did,
Like, if I was lying, tell me,
You ain't lying, but don't do that.
Let's keep what you built in the past and build on that, but I'm cool on new stuff from him. I love the fact that Dougie Fresh transitioned to more of a host.
Which he's great at.
And still doing his legacy music as he hosts. But like certain people, when it comes to their style, is dated. They never... evolve, so to speak, with the time. So I think they're cool for what they do, but I don't want to hear you trying to do new stuff.
I think you make a good point about Dougie Fresh because he is the prime example of what we always talk about, where we talk about the older or the legacy artists that have applied the updated kit. He found a way to keep himself relevant by doing hosting. He can still do Lottie Dottie,
performing his stuff,
and bring Slick Rick out. And I'm gonna go crazy if I see that because I know what that is. So he's one of the people that's one of the OGs that was actually able to make the correct transition, in my opinion, and it works. I'm saying, like, it makes sense. But we've seen the other side of that as well, where it's like, nah, fam, like this is not 01.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's even. I even hate to say it, but like even that new Rakim record. Did you guys listen to it?
Actually, I was gonna make that point too.
Yeah,
it's like it's not like it's bad. It just sounds a little dated, and it's it's not like what I wanted to hear. Like I think I know that you guys have mentioned like it's not. We wanted to hear Rakim on a Rakim record.
Yeah.
Yeah, after all this time, I didn't want to hear a compilation, even though like he was trying to do. From what I'm seeing, like his own kind of like chronic, if you will, because he produced a majority of these records.
Yeah. If not all, did the scratches.
Yeah, did the scratching. Like, this is his also, not just him being the hard rhymer. You know what I'm saying? He's also on here trying to, solidify himself as a musician.
You know what's crazy? The video that we reviewed with the record with Master Killer
and Corrupt,
and Corrupt.
I like that one.
That one gave me more. I was more optimistic, right? Now you all played me some records before we came on, and I'm like, man, 98 to 02, 2001. That's saying Rock can't still rap, because he definitely can still rap.
That's not what it is, man. With his particular project, and again, I want to reference that this takes nothing away from his legacy.
No, for sure.
But if I'm looking for a Rakim album, I would prefer to hear Rakim mainly.
Yes.
With a feature in there. The only thing that bothered me on this album is there's features on every song, and it's feature written to the point where it turned into a compilation.
Yeah.
And I'm listening, trying to hear Rakim, who I pretty much press play to hear Rakim.
I did.
And I'm hearing everybody else. And the album actually isn't a bad album.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it sounds like a compilation, man.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. It's a compilation, and there's too many features.
Too many features.
There's like 5 people on the album that have passed away.
There's a record that has Terry was playing. I think you guys may have been. No, it wasn't when I first got here, but one of the records that I heard like 3 of them. When I got here, it was 7 minutes.
Yeah,
that's the one with Cannabis.
Right,
and
Cannabis. Rest in peace, Chino XL. And somebody else. I think Sky Zoo was rapping when I came downstairs.
I think Law of the Darkman was on that one. I think so.
Big Noy was on there on one of them that I heard.
There's a Nipsey Hussle record on this.
Yeah, there's a Fred the Godson verse on there.
Yeah.
Rest in peace of Fred. Rest in peace of Nip. Rest in peace of Prodigy. So I feel you, man. Like, it's just.
I don't think it looks good for the legacy, but I don't think it hurts it.
You can't do nothing to hurt Rakim.
But he's cemented. But as a consumer, it's just my dream to have one of these LMCs that preceded us, that's legendary, that's great, GOAT status type guys. Just go get with some dope producers and just make a record, man.
To his defense,
just do that.
He produced the whole thing.
No, I'm not mad at that, because this is his opus, right? So you want to get your dreams out. I'm not mad at that. Rod, do what you want to do.
I don't think.
But for me,
I don't think this is his opus. This can't be.
I don't think so either.
It can't.
Well, if he produced it and did all the scratches and picked the features,
but there's verses he's not even rapping on some of the songs.
He also during this press run of this album stated that he produced some of the stuff back in the Eric B. and Rakim days.
So, I missed that part. Okay.
And he's cut from that cloth of honing the elements of hip hop, so he knows how to DJ, he knows how to cut, he knows how to scratch.
Okay.
So this isn't anything that's new to him, and I wouldn't say that it's his magnum opus. I would say his magnum opus is Paid in Full.
See, I was thinking I didn't know that part, so Terry educated me on that. I didn't know we were pulling from the archives on some of these, and then maybe some of them are newer. So,
but
I stand the verses are definitely pulling from the archives.
I stand corrected, because there's clearly more features that y'all mentioned because I've only heard 3 or 4 records, but I got a feel for what the record is.
But one of the things,
based off what I heard.
and we can, it's just kind of crazy when we talk about legacy artists, because Common, you could say, is a legacy artist.
Oh, 100%.
And this record he's done with Pete Rock is fantastic. I may be biased because Pete Rock is one of my favorite producers. Com is in my top 5 of MCs.
Yeah,
but like at the same time, I've been critical of Common's music. There's a couple albums I was like, nah, this ain't it, dog.
Common, probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite rappers.
This album, the songs that we reviewed, just based on the songs we reviewed on here, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah,
and here
Common dropped some duds, and I'm a Common fan.
Yeah,
he didn't drop some duds.
Like the one where it was some Microsoft Common albums out here that I wasn't here for.
That's well played.
And the thing is, because
Microsoft Paint Common, you mean?
No,
don't do that. Don't be disrespectful. Don't do that.
Because I'm such a fan. I listen to the albums all the way through, and I'm just like, nah, fam.
I was just trying to understand what the Microsoft.
No, because
it was soft.
No, because
is that what he was doing?
No, because he was a spokesman. I don't know if he still does the commercials for Microsoft.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
No, he was on commercials. Yeah, he was.
I'm picking up on the double entendre.
No,
I'm
not trying to do that. I'm trying to just say, hey, my man, and shout out to him, is getting so much money from these Fortune 500 companies. Maybe he's not as tied into what he's supposed to be doing as an MC.
I know Common's catalog. There are some records on there in the midst. Now, we know what the ones are. We know what those are, right? We know that. But I'm just going to be honest. Nobody Smiling,
You even
the
like
Dreamer, the Believer.
No, hold on. The Dreamer, the Believer had some heat.
Cool. It had some heat.
No, the Dreamer, Believer was.
I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I'm a Common fan.
No, I love the Dreamer and the Believer. That might be the last Common CD I bought.
What's the joint that Pharrell Universal Mind Control?
See, that was, you know what?
He came off of 2 classic albums on that.
But this is where I'm thinking. This is where
4.
Yeah,
talk to him.
But this is the thing. This is where I'm going to shoot him some bail. That's the first record he did with no Pops rap on it because his father had passed away.
I'll take that.
So Universal.
That's some conspiracy theory things.
But I'll take that, Long.
But then there's the record.
Mysterious.
There's the record. I don't know. It's like he's in the clouds and he's looking up. Let there be love or something.
Now that one right there has got
out of here.
That one right there has got a couple joints. That's got a few joints on it.
There were songs I like, but I was like, this ain't Common.
Common used to drop.
like this now when I hear this with Pete Rock where he's like really locked in, I was like, okay, this is why I've tried to preach the gospel of Common over the last 25, 30 years.
But to circle the block back to Rakim, Rakim is a legend. I don't need nothing else from him. But I'm being stingy when I say what I said earlier.
Well, no,
if I can just get him with, you know what I mean?
Because we want the best for the people that we have high regard and respect for.
That's all I'm saying.
I would love to hear it because one of my favorite Rakim songs is a record called "When I Be on the Mic" that came out in 1999 that DJ Premier produced.
Go listen to the 18th Letter.
I like his classic record or classic verse with that. Was that?
Yeah.
With Kanye and
Primo and
Nas.
Yeah.
So that's just my thing, man. Go get with who you need to get with and just give us one.
But I think he did. I think that's what he thought he was doing.
He wanted to get this out of his system. And once again,
I'm not mad at it.
I'm not either.
It's not a horrible project. You know,
it's not. But we know what trash is. We know when we hear trash. It's not trash.
It's just after 15 or 16 years not hearing a Rakim album, I want to hear a Rakim album.
Yeah, and that single the one that we reviewed, I was in on that 100%.
Yeah, the ones he's rapping on are fire.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's got some dope joints on there where he's just doing the chorus or whatever. But yeah, again, we're talking with LL's project. It hasn't came out yet. He's doing a really good press run.
He is.
He's 2 for 2.
We've talked about him for 3 weeks.
LL popping up, bro. He's popping up.
He's doing what he's supposed to do. So we'll see what this sounds like when it comes out.
I'm not going to say excited. I'm not about to jump out the window. But LL has my attention based off how he's talking plus the 2 records. He has my attention.
Look, he could have not said anything, and just let the music stand for itself, and he'd have my attention.
Well, you different.
But again, like I said,
you different.
You're an LL fan.
Yeah, I mean, but
you're a fan.
Yeah.
Super fan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no shame in it.
If Ice-T drop an EP tomorrow, you gonna go get it.
It's like I'm a fan. Like, I listen to anything LL, Common, Fonte. I'll say it. I can't say it.
Yes, you can say it. Go ahead and say it.
I haven't listened to all day. At a certain point, I stopped listening to Ice-T.
Jay Moore, if Ice-T drop an EP tomorrow, you going to take a flyer and get that mug.
But Ice-T with Ice-T's first 5 albums, you can't tell me nothing.
I think I'm cool, but Ice Cube was one of my favorite MCs coming up.
Yeah.
And he dropped some duds.
He did.
And it did not tarnish his legacy because he did so much.
War and Peace Volume 2 did not tarnish Ice Cube's legacy.
That wasn't it.
Volume 1 had heat though.
It did. I mean,
don't do that. Volume 1 had heat.
Wait, oh no, I'm not mad. I'm not.
Volume 1 had heat.
I mean, even Volume 2 had When We Rich,
but 2 wasn't it though. No. 2 wasn't it. 2 wasn't it.
He had his run, and it, regardless of what happened, his legacy isn't tarnished.
True.
And Ice Cube could circle the block right now.
Yeah.
And people would be hype about what he had to say. Yeah. I mean, he's in
that's true.
West. What's the group?
Mount Westmore.
Mount Westmore. And the songs that I've heard from them, I don't think they ever dropped the album. But the joints that I heard were solid.
Tour went up because they all legendary. They all legacy acts.
Yeah.
Tour went up.
They actually might have dropped a project.
Did Mount Rushmore drop a project?
Maybe they didn't. They did a couple records though.
I don't remember an actual project ever coming out, but I think we actually watched a video though.
Snoop dressed like the Mandalorian with the purple Mandalorian suit on.
I don't know what you talking about.
Yeah, I'm cool. But no, we watched the video. We watched the video that was Snoop, Lady of Rage, RBX, and Daz and Corrupt. That was fire to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I watched
it. To me, if they were to do something together, that would be solid, but it would not do anything to tarnish anybody's legacy.
So check this out. Snoop
I know Kato on the Track produced one of the records for
Mount Westmore. Definitely has a project.
Wow.
December 9th, 2022.
Damn.
The joint has 16 records.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it's
I'm out here sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
You know why it has 16 records and not 8?
Long, please don't do this because I know you.
Because E40's on it.
That's so disrespectful.
That's pretty much what
because y'all know the block brochures be having like 30 songs apiece. We know that, right? That's disrespectful.
That's his.
No, that's what he does.
Part of his contribution.
Mount Westmore.
To your point, it doesn't matter what E40 does. It does not tarnish his legacy.
No.
That's one person I would love to work with, man. I had some slaps for E40. I'll make it work.
And he them albums he dropped actually got some heat filtered through it, but
he's one of those. Look, man, E40 is one, and I'll just be a hater, but I don't. E40 is one of those dudes that I have a lot of respect for, but I don't think I've ever enjoyed an E40 song.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, Long.
Now, number one.
Come on.
Number one,
you know better.
I'm not a big fan of Bay music, so there's that.
But you know better than this take.
No,
you know better.
Hold on. I'm just saying, like, his style is just too much for me. It's just too much.
Do you laugh? Like,
yes, but I mentioned this before. He kind of feels like a parody act.
No, that's him in the flesh.
I know it is.
No, that's how he talks in real life.
But that's my point. Like he's so. I think he's hilarious. Like when I listen to his stuff, but I listen to it almost the same way that I'm listening to a comedy album.
I can feel that. But
that's all that I mean. But like.
Same token, especially being from Nap.
I have tons of respect for him.
Being from Naptown, early E40 is a staple in this city.
Same thing from St. Louis.
Yeah, it's almost like that and SIBO.
Yeah,
it's like it's written in stone. If you are from a certain era in Naptown, that this is what you're about.
Hey,
so it can ring off right now. I can drop a track from E40 right now somewhere in the city.
I'm not taking anything away from it.
People will go crazy.
I agree with everything that everybody's going to say here. I'm just saying that when I listen to E40, I'm just laughing and I can't connect.
Go listen to Charlie Hustle. He got a song called The Reasons. Go listen to that.
Charlie Hustle's fired.
Thank you.
I'm sure that if I listen to some E40 songs, I'm sure.
What about that shopping basket?
I know that record. What I'm saying is, like, I'm sure that I would like some if I really dove into his stuff, but every single time that I've heard like one of his records, I can't help but just laugh at him.
That's crazy.
His voice is so funny to me.
What's that nigga name? Rasheed Wallace.
This is so funny to me. Like, it's like, I almost mean this as a term of it. I know it's not coming across that way, but.
But one of the funniest things is like, he came to Indianapolis one time and DJ Rec One interviewed him. Shout out to him. And like,
it wasn't like Webby, was it?
No. Let's not go there.
All right, I'm just saying.
And the thing is, like, he was like, hey, I got this with E40 and we want to get, it was a local magazine here. I couldn't remember what it was. This is when I first got here. He's like, hey, can you kind of transcribe and write this, like this interview so it can be in this magazine? And I had to like take all of E40's bass slang,
his slang dictionary,
and try to make it make sense with, my my English minor and my ability to try to put this into something that could be put into a magazine, because he's talking like E40.
E40 in text would be hilarious.
And so like it'd be like, remember there was a there was like this software back in the day, I think it was called Snapdragon or something.
I don't even
know.
And
like it was a talk to text situation.
I know what you're talking about.
And one time they tried to like have like Ghostface Killer speak into it, and it was just like I think the computer almost exploded just because it was like, what are you talking about? And it was that hard for me, and like that was to try to transcribe an E40 interview into English.
Yeah. I don't want to take anything away from his music and stuff.
It's not like on E40. No, we're not.
I love E40.
I'm really not even trying to do that because I have a ton of respect for him, and he is absolutely a legend, and I really like him. as a person.
I'd love to sit down and talk to E40. I'd love to talk to E40.
But like whenever I hear his music, every time I'm just kind of like, okay, man. His voice is so unique that I can't help but laugh every time.
I hope the stars line up. I promise we're gonna speak my shoes in PE class. I'm through with Bizney and Brisnoke.
I'm just trying to write that down.
I can't tell me about E40.
I use more Z's and trying to write out this interview.
Lona's about to cut this up. I already know what's about to happen. But yeah, y'all can't tell me about E40. Listen,
I rock with.
He's a legend.
Fonzarelli.
He's a legend. I just can't listen to him without laughing internally.
In the ghetto, we pay Domino's for push-ups.
Burn rubber.
Come on, man.
Yeah, man. I'm all for you.
I'm gonna end up on it.
I'll tell you what. He's a one of one.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That is the perfect way to say
he's a one of one.
He's a one of one. Right. If I ever heard somebody like trying to be, it's kind of like if I heard someone trying to be. Well, there's been someone who's tried to be like Ghostface.
It worked kinda.
But like no one, if you tried to rap like E40, I'd be like, man, get your ass out of here.
Yeah, I wish he actually had dropped that slang scenario that he was on.
Yeah, I remember that was going to be a thing.
Listen, man. Shout out to E40. But we still love you, E40.
Hey, I just want to say I'm sorry if it comes across as I'm hating. I'm really not trying
it's all
to.
Good.
I'm really not trying to. It's just like E40 is so funny to me.
There's going to be somebody that's going to say the white guy hates E40 because he's black, or if this makes sense.
I get it. Where's the joke? I know I'm not like us. I get it.
Shut your white ass up.
I get it.
All right.
I also don't like the mustard beat. There we are.
Yeah. Shout out to DJ Mustard dropping the album.
It plays on loop for 6 minutes. I got tired of it.
Called Faith of a Mustard Seed. That is the coldest.
First of all,
with him DJing as a kid on the cover.
Ain't that what it's called? Faith of a Mustard Seed.
You know why? Yeah. You know why him being when I found out his real first name is Dijon, I thought that was the most incredible thing ever.
Bruh. Faith of a Mustard Seed and your name is Dijon.
And he called himself DJ Mustard. I was like, bro, that's cold. What? Embrace that, sir.
That's cold. I don't care what nobody said. That's a cold title.
I heard one of his first singles that he put out. I actually liked it, where he's rapping on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But he's dropped the project's out now. I don't know if you guys have heard it.
I ain't heard this yet, but I love where he going with the title and his name and all that. I'm with that. I just got to rock it. Let's do it.
Hey, man. All
right, man. Is there anything else we forgot before we get out of here?
I don't know.
Spay and neuter your cats.
That's true.
We're going to figure that out. We appreciate the support as always. Look, newoldheads.com for all the education you need this year. Don't forget about our Patreon. And remember, if you see us on any platform, like it, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and also give us a 5-star rating because that helps us. And you hating if you don't give us a 5-star rating at this point because you've been rocking with us this long. All right? So for the fellas, we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yes, sir.